military families literally reward brands in the end that truly show up for them. And whether it's meaningful content or community support or just acknowledging that they live a unique lifestyle that most don't in the first place, I think honestly it just goes back to the loyalty and authentic and building that trust with everybody.
Hi, welcome to All Channels On, the power of the military consumer. I'm Chris Bodmann, and in each episode, we explore the influence of military families, veterans, and service members, and celebrate the brands that earn their trust. Together, we'll shine a light on a community with unmatched loyalty, $1.2 trillion in buying power, and a voice that cannot be ignored. Today's guest is a special friend of bBIG Communications, our very own Rachel Slack. Rachel, thanks for joining us. Can you go ahead and start by introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about your military connection and what you do for bBIG?
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. I'm Rachel Slack. I've been connected with the military lifestyle for almost a decade now. I've actually been with bBIG for almost 9 years, 8 years, and some odd months. I've been creating content for bBIG that highlights the authentic day-to-day experiences of military life. Everything from PCS moves to moving with your pets to your everyday military struggles and the chaos you go through. Little life hacks you can learn in the military life that you might not know as a newbie military spouse. My goal is in the end to share stories and resources that speak to service members and other military spouses and connect everyone together, essentially.
Awesome. So what inspired you to get into creating content that speaks to the military lifestyle?
So it's funny you should ask this. When I first married into the military, I realized the military life is completely different than, I would say, the life you could ever imagine. There's a lot of challenges that came with it, a lot of chaos that came with it, a lot of unknowns, last minute changes that you honestly don't expect. So what happened was 2 years after my first PCS move, I decided to start my own brand. I became the military influencer here I'm in Los Angeles now, but it was in San Diego at the time. And I started blogging about the military life, and I was connecting with all these military spouses at Camp Pendleton, at the recruit depot, at the air station, all around California. And then somebody actually tagged me on a Facebook status that bBIG was looking for a military blogger. And they're like, you would be great at this because you're already doing this. So it was from that I decided I'll do this job because I would rather connect all these military spouses together and share resources and information to be able to help other people. So that kind of is like what inspired me to create the content in the first place, because there was a lot of information I didn't know about when I was freshly married that I learned about later on from other seasoned spouses that you just don't get told when you first get married into the military what to expect and what you need to do and what's going to happen in the first place.
Yeah, there's no basic training for a military spouse or family, right? So from your perspective, what makes the military community unique compared to other communities or other audiences?
I think the military community is probably resourceful. Everyone has to adapt constantly. There's new homes, there's new friends, new schools for the kids. Like the kids, I always feel bad for military kids because they constantly have to go through a cycle of going to a new school, finding new friends. And then 2 years later, you're ripping them away from their friends. And now they have to start all over again every 2 years, essentially. But yeah, it's like we create bonds wherever we go that also last for years. And no matter where you move, you're always connected to those people. Even when I was living in Japan, I had friends that I still talk to 4 or 5 years later. I have maid of honors that were in my wedding that are nowhere near where I'm living at now, but we still talk consistently every single day just because we were bonded by the military lifestyle. So I think in a way it created this unique community that we get to be a part of.
Cool. Now, what do you think people outside of the military community, what do you think is a kind of a common misunderstanding about military families and what it's like?
I think they honestly probably underestimate military families, and they underestimate the strength and the sacrifices that a lot of military families have to go through. When it comes to a civilian that has like no ties to the military life, I think most people just think of like deployments, war, training, and that's all that goes through their mind, but they don't see like the big picture, that not just the deployments, but on the other end of it, it's the deployments and the daily adjustments, the moving every few years, the navigating healthcare, the supporting the kids through transitions that really define the lifestyle. Even like the new military spouses that are getting, a lot of military spouses get married when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. That's, you're fresh out of high school, you're kind of in that college time frame. And it's also like those spouses probably aren't going to college either, because they're sacrificing their career to help their husband's career now. Or they're trying to figure out a way to balance, like, can I do schooling online and still get a degree and still have a career, even though every 2 years I'm going to have to move. So that means every 2 years I'm going to have to find a new job, because I can't keep in a job for 5, 10, 20 years like most people.
Yeah. So how have all those experiences shaped the kind of stories or that you want to tell, or the type of content that you want to create?
I think over the past, like, the decade of living the military life and everything, it kind of helps the experiences shape the content I create, because I know how valuable like a simple PCS checklist would be to somebody who's never PCS before. How a simple tip for like moving with your pets, whether it's just like a simple, hey, like this is the crate size you need to be able to fly on the plane, because if not, your dog's not going with you type deal, can help somebody. And even just like sharing everyday life content that I'm going through that I know another military spouse can connect to and relate to, so that they don't feel alone. Because you also have to think all these military spouses too, they probably don't have family around. When I was on the East Coast, my whole family's from the East Coast. So when I was on the East Coast, I can only think of a handful of times that I actually got to see my parents. Most of the time, I rarely see my parents like ever on the East Coast. Even here in California, when I first moved here to San Diego, I saw my mom and my stepdad once, and that was it. And it's probably been 9 years since I've been home now. So it's just creating that relatable connection, and then also like letting other people know like they're not alone. There's other military spouses going through this. Like, it's just,
You can almost be that you can almost be that family that for these other people that are going through the same thing.
And that's the thing too, even like not even military spouses. So scratch the military spouses, even just like service members and everything. There's commands here at Camp Pendleton that some of the closest friends that I have are are of the service members. They come over for Thanksgiving. We spend Christmas together. We'll go get an Airbnb together, and then we'll all go on vacation together, because the command becomes your family in the end. Everybody is a part of it, and you take care of each other at that point.
Right. So getting into, more into this content creation thing. So you're part of bBIG's network. We have this network of authentic content creators, and you're probably at the top of that pyramid there. Can you talk about what that means to you to have that opportunity, and just what it means to be part of that group?
Yeah, so to me, it means like, honestly, when people think content creator, and sometimes I even hate the word influencer, because I feel like it's been taken out of context now, and a lot of influencers push a lot of things onto people that they don't actually stand behind and mean. But for me, as a content creator, especially with bBIG, it means I get to share like real experiences. And it's not just polished generic content, but it's like actual authentic connections that I have to brands and products. And like, I'm going to tell you if I like something, and you can trust me with what I say. You don't have to like go and question whether or not I'm lying about it or not. You're going to see my everyday life. You don't have to think like, oh, is that like really how she looks every single day? Or is this how her life is every single day? Because like, I'm not going to share just the good. I'm going to share some of the bad too. Like, whatever is happening in my life, I'm going to keep it real. The content's always going to be authentic. So for me, getting to be able to share the real experiences is probably like the highlight of being a content creator, so that other people can connect with me and be like, this is life. This is a part of the military life.
Right. So why, you've mentioned authenticity there. Why is authenticity as big a deal as it is, especially when you're talking to military families and service members?
Um, I think it's really simple. I think like you can tell when somebody's being a cookie cutter and just saying something that you think somebody wants to hear. And being authentic, like there's there's something about just being authentic that lets you connect with others. And nobody wants the cookie cutter because once you spot a cookie cutter, all trust is lost. You're probably not interested in looking at the person's content anymore. You're probably not even wanting to have conversations with people anymore. So I think just being authentic and having that real life sense with the brand, it lets people feel respected and also being a part of the community. And it goes back to being a part of the military lifestyle community.
Right. And it's not about exploiting the military as, a commercial asset, but you're talking to them one-on-one authentically as part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how do you balance being relatable and personal, but also creating content, kind of threading that needle between, the content for the brands, but also being relatable and personable and authentic?
I think it goes back to weaving the brands into like my real life. If it's a brand that I actually use, I'm going to tell you about it. I'm not going to sit here and try to pitch you a brand that I haven't used, I haven't tried out, and that like I don't believe in. Um, I think that's one of the biggest key points of something like that. Uh,
Okay.
that's yeah.
And one of the things we talk about with what we do with this content is supporting force readiness. So keeping, the military family resilient. So how do you see your role as a content creator sort of playing into that force readiness support?
I think as a content creator, especially somebody who's a military content creator, it can play a huge role. I see myself playing a huge role in it. Um, the content that like we share, it shares resources, it builds communities, it provides support directly to people. And when military families feel supported and connected, service members can then also focus on what they're supposed to be doing. And there's kind of like a little, maybe a sense of peace, I guess you could say, if somebody's away from home for training for 6 weeks, knowing that their spouse or their kids have resources that they can like use, and like there's people that can help them if something's like happening, because we all know when a deployment or training happens, Murphy Law happens, and everything goes crazy. Anything that can go wrong goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So having those resources, and like the content creators can share those resources and build the community and keep on giving more information to the families so that they have more of a support system than they think.
And so it's almost maybe peace of mind for the service member. They can trust that their family's being taken care of, and they know that they have these resources that they can call on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So military families represent about $1.2 trillion in buying power. We mentioned that at the top. And we know that there's an incredible sense of loyalty with military audiences. But beyond those numbers, why do you think brands should care about connecting in a real way with this audience? Why do you think that's important for brands?
I mean, I think it goes back to everything we've been talking about: authenticity and then respect and loyalty, because loyalty comes first with the trust. It's not just a spending power. Military families literally reward brands in the end that truly show up for them. And whether it's meaningful content or community support or just acknowledging that they live a unique lifestyle that most don't in the first place, I think honestly, it just goes back to the loyalty and authentic and building that trust with everybody.
Okay. Can you, you've worked with a lot of our brands, but can you share a moment where you've seen that content that you've created really resonate with the military community in a powerful way or even in an unexpected way?
I think one of the examples that comes to mind, honestly, is probably when we first launched PCS with pets. That's one of our clubs for moving with our pets. Um, there was a point in time when we were all talking about, as a community, we have a forum where everybody can talk about their experiences or like what's around their base and everything on the forum. We were all talking about the horror stories that comes with PCSing and moving. And I was amazed by the response that we got from people that shared their own horror stories and their struggles that they went to. One of the people I remember off the top of my head, she said her cat was actually packed up. Sorry, her cat was actually packed up in the move. Her cat somehow jumped into one of the empty trash cans, and then they taped the trash can, put it inside the truck, and then when the whole house was packed up, they were like, "Where's the cat at? The cat's missing now." And they found out the cat was inside the truck packed up. So that was like one of the unexpected ways. It just connected a lot of people together, that the horror stories, like everyone's going through some bad moves, unfortunately.
Tell me they found the cat though.
They did. They found the cat.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they found the cat. Thank God.
Good.
Yeah. But it's like things like that. So we offer tips and we connected in the comments and we're like, so this doesn't happen next time. Like we could do this instead. And that was like one of the simple pieces of content. And so those simple pieces of content can still spark real community conversations and reflect on our own experiences that we can also share and learn from others.
That's awesome. So I know that you have something exciting coming up that you're working on. And I know it's still in the works, but there are plans to relaunch OffDuty Happy Hour, which is a podcast that you worked on before. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what listeners can expect from that podcast?
Yes. Off-Duty Happy Hour is going to come back. It's going to be fun, real relatable, like it was before. We'll talk about everything from military life hacks to lifestyle topics. There's going to be humor, storytelling, heartfelt stories inside of it. It's really a space to connect, again, military people with their own communities. So that way they can meet new people around their bases, or they can just have a pen pal online where they can talk. But it's a space for connection and community in the end.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what was the original inspiration behind starting that podcast, and why are we bringing it back?
So I think honestly, it was kind of a mix of different things of what we were wanting to do. One of them, going back to PCS with pets, we were wanting to also share more resources and information, and we had just launched PCS with pets. And we wanted a way to also let people know, like, hey, we're doing a $500 monthly sweepstakes. If you're PCSing, we're trying to help you move with your pets, because we know it's going to cost $4,000 to move a dog overseas if you don't get a pet spot on the airplane. So that was like actually one of our very first episodes was about PCS with pets. And so it was mainly a podcast that we're trying to connect with more military people. We're trying to bring on military brands, military clubs, anything that's a resource with information for other military members to use to their advantage and be able to apply it to their life. And then also mix in the practical, storytelling, like some fun stories being a military spouse, or like being a military service member, or like, this is what I went through in England, or this is what happened in Japan. This is what I learned over there. And this is like, even like the culture of like living in Japan versus the United States, and like what we take for granted over here that they didn't have over there. Simple things like that.
Great. And how do you see Off-Duty Happy Hour fitting into this bigger picture of content, this kind of new, renewed sense of content that we're building through bBIG for the military community? How does Happy Hour fit into all of that?
I think it honestly complements everything that bBIG is doing right now, because we do blogs, we do socials, we have graphics, reels, like all socials. We have a YouTube channel. And then we're even doing events, like we just did the Purina San Diego dog shows and everything. So it's just us offering a more of a chance to have a conversation with more military members. And it's a laid back way to connect, and it's more authentic, and it's honestly probably one of the best ways to be able to connect with the military life.
Awesome. So looking ahead, what gets you the most excited about this future of military content and storytelling, and specifically where bBIG is going with all of this?
Um, I think the most exciting thing is growing the authentic voice and then hearing from not just my own personal voice being a content creator and stuff, but like hearing the authentic voice from other content creators and other military members and military spouses. Um, I feel like there's like different branches of the military. And so because of that, I feel like it just creates even more of a diverse, powerful
Mm,
full of different military stories and different lessons people have learned and different lives people have learned or learned to live too. Like somebody living in Alaska is living a completely different life than somebody living in Florida compared to somebody living in Germany. And they're all going through different things as a military spouse or a military service member.
right.
So I think it's the growing shift towards those authentic voices is probably what excites me the most and being able to hear from other military spouses and service members.
Awesome. All right. So, where can listeners find all of this awesome stuff that you're working on?
So the podcast Off Duty Happy Hour should be you should be able to find that anywhere there's a podcast. You can also probably find it on mymilitarySavings.com. And then you can also find it on our socials. Every now and then we post little clips of the episodes on our socials. So you should be able to like tune in for like little minute clips if you want to catch some parts of the episode on there, I should say. And then our clubs, you can always find our clubs. My Military Pets is also on all social platforms. We have websites for the Military Cat Club, the Military Pet Club, and PCS with Pets. And then My Military Savings and My Military Lifestyle also has all socials. And then you can also find the websites exactly mymilitarsavings.com and mymilitarylifestyle.com too.
Awesome. You're all over the place.
Yes.
All right, Rachel. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. Really energizing conversation. And I can honestly say I'm inspired by all the stuff that you're doing. So that's it for today's episode of All Channels On, The Power of the Military Consumer. I'm your host, Chris Bodmann. Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and also at bBIGcommunications.com. Probably there'll also be links through My Military Lifestyle as well. And if you're a brand looking for to better connect with military families, veterans, and service members, or you simply want to learn more about this incredible community that Rachel is a part of, visit us online and join the conversation. So until next time, keep all channels on and keep listening to the voices that matter the most.